Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Right, lads and lassies, first of all, grab your pints and pull up a seat because we are here for the Season 4 premiere of the Soul Sessions. And I thought, how could I start an historic premiere of a season with, well, Mr NWA, the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion himself, Joe Alonzo. Welcome.
Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, my man?
Joe, my friend, welcome to the Soul Sessions. But obviously, we've done this for the last 3 seasons, and I ain't stopping anymore. Joe, every guest has a story, and every story has beginning. How did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
As a wrestling fan, I'm trying to think. Like there isn't no beginning. I'd say if I were to, honestly, I think it just comes down to my dad was a big wrestling fan, and wrestling's just kind of always been a part of our family. And I just grew up watching it, and yeah, and I think until I've always kind of said, I was going to be a professional wrestler once I got older, and it kind of just never went away. And I think everyone kind of waited for me to grow out of the phase, and here I am at 27 years old, the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion. But there was really no beginning. It kind of just always was. It's kind of like, when you're a kid, you're required to go to school. You're required to, know things like your ABCs, your alphabet, mathematics, like all that stuff. It just it just was something. It's like eating. I don't know. It was always there. But my first memory, though, fun fact, my first memory ever of professional wrestling was Stephanie McMahon faking her pregnancy to try to to stay. That's like my first ever memory of wrestling is that.
Jesus, that's like some TMZ World Star stuff just to hit you right off the bat, mate. I mean, fair play, man, fair play. But obviously, Joe, I'm from the good old place of Scotland, and I've always been fascinated about American culture. You hear about like the Hollywood, but then there's sports as well, NFL, MLB, and the National Baseball Alliance and everything. I wondered how does wrestling, approach itself to American sports culture? Do you feel like it's one of the most integral parts of American sports culture?
No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe when I was like a kid, so growing up, I think like definitely, because growing up, I didn't have cable, so I didn't watch I never watched Monday Night Raw. I only watched SmackDown, and I think back then, I think it was Thursdays or Fridays. I don't remember if it was Thursday or Friday, but I think it was Thursdays. And but I remember coming to school like the next day or the following Monday or whatever it was, and just like talking about like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? So back when we were kids, I want to say up until like, I don't know, probably the 4th grade, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, I want to say. It was like the most popular thing that there is. Like there was nothing cooler than WWE, or WWF. I don't know, it was WWE. So that was the thing that everyone talked about. But then up until like 5th grade-ish, like then it started like breaking down that there was those handful of kids that still watch wrestling. And then like whenever people would find out like, oh, you still watch wrestling. And then I remember like in high school, that was like the lamest thing. Like if you were a wrestling fan in high school, you got made fun of, especially being on the wrestling team. And when your coach knows that you want to be a professional wrestler, you get made fun of the entire time. So I think now, though, I will say it's weird because now we're in this weird time, and I think it honestly just comes down to WWE because they're killing it right now. But like everyone that I grew up with is now a fan of wrestling again, which is wild because it's like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this with the Bloodline or Cody or whoever's like the guy, right? Or Sami Zayn, any of that? They're like, did you see this? And it's like, yeah, I've been watching it. Like I never stopped. So it's kind of cool to see it become like a mainstream thing again. But as of right now, I would say it's mainstream. But like up until like 2 years ago, it was the lamest thing in the world.
Well, hey, it's no lame anymore when you're getting, billions of dollars for a Netflix deal, WrestleMania is being the highest grossing of all time. And that's really fascinating, I think, as well. We look back at the Attitude Era and even the Ruthless Aggression Era of the highlights, the high points of wrestling. But now, even now in 2024, we're getting this high point and we're smashing it with, big deals and big turnouts to crowds and social media engagements. What do you think, Joe, has caused that, that divide and that turn now into a more influential and growing period for wrestling?
So I want to say, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say that there's one thing. I think it's more so like there's a bunch of different things. Like, okay, like for one, you got someone like Logan. Having someone like Logan Paul, he is as mainstream as I'd say it gets, because you got Logan, his brother, guys like KSI. They recently had Speed. They have all these like influencers, I guess, or like streamers who all these kids love. So when you have all these people dipping their toes into professional wrestling, you're bringing a lot of outsiders in and a lot of new eyes, and it's just a percentage. If like, let's say someone like Logan Paul, I'd say, I'm not sure, but I'd imagine Logan Paul has over like 10 to 20 million followers. Someone like him, and if they've never heard of professional wrestling, and one of his fans, if you can just get like, I'm not a math wizard, but if you can get like 10% of his followers, that's a huge win to just stick around. So just a lot of little things like that. I know they had, you get Bad Bunny, and then even like AEW, they got Snoop Dogg in the ring, and then Snoop Dogg also got in the ring at Mania. I think, even having like someone like, okay, like my boss, Billy Corgan, lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. When I tell people that that's my boss, more people get excited for that. They're like, wow, that's crazy. Your boss is Billy Corgan. So once I tell them about the NWA, now they're like, oh, wow, well, even if they're not wrestling fans, like, well, I like Billy Corgan, even though he's really not on the screen that much, but they'll give it a chance because it's, Billy Corgan's company. So like just little things like that. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things. And I think as of right now, and in my opinion, I think this should have happened a long time ago, is we're starting to step away from like the super family friendly type of wrestling. Like now it's more like I'd say a little bit more realistic. Like when you I'm sure like the UFC. When you watch the UFC, they don't have an age demographic. They're just putting on their show, and whoever buys the pay-per-view buys the pay-per-view. And I think a lot of professional wrestling companies are realizing that, and they're kind of being a little bit more edgy, which hopefully steps in the territory of not being so offended by everything, and we can get back to like those good old days to where you can be a little edgy and make people question what is a part of this and what isn't, and what's real and what's not. But there's just a lot of things. You can't just say it's one thing. It's multiple things coming together, because I think more than one company is winning right now, and I think everyone's benefiting from it. So yeah, it's a long. There's really no short answer to that, but.
Hey, it was a good long answer, my friend, indeed, and it was the best kind of answer you can get as well. When one company does well, it's like a tree. All the roots and the branches come down, and it spreads out to everybody. We all get good things to come out of it as well. And also, you mentioned Logan Paul there as well, and I was skeptical at first when I heard like Logan Paul's getting the ring for the WWE. This ain't gonna work. It's gonna be a travesty. But no, he has shown he has stepped up, and he's had absolute killer moments. So I want to know, do you honestly think we can maybe see Logan Paul as WWE champion in the next 5 years?
That's, I don't know. That's a hard. I don't know. Maybe. I think it's possible. I think it would benefit him to still try to go do other things outside of professional wrestling. Like, I don't know whether it's a movie or put out a new, like, I don't know, like I don't drink his drink, but like that, like he had a lot of things. Like he was doing boxing. He has his own brand, his clothing brand. He has the drink, Prime. I think he might need to do like another thing outside of wrestling maybe, and then come back. Because I don't know. I think someone like Logan Paul doesn't need the WWE championship. So I don't know, but I also think he's going to hang on to that U.S. title for a long time. So who's really to say? Maybe it's possible. I don't know if it's 5 years, or I don't know if it'll ever happen. But I would never say never when it comes to someone like Logan Paul.
You never know in the business of wrestling. One little thing could happen on one show that leads to a domino effect of another as well. And also, you mentioned Logan Paul's got the WWE US title at the moment. A lot of people are interested on, how his story will end with that title. Could he drop it to someone like LA Knight or AJ Styles, or who knows? Maybe his brother might come in. We could get on brother rivalry down for the US title. But I want to know from yourself, Joe, if you could see how Logan Paul's US title reign would end, and he had to drop it to somebody, who would you like him to drop that title to?
I honestly, I couldn't even really answer that, only because I am not fully caught up on everything. I more so kind of got I'm passing by a cop right now. I probably shouldn't be doing that. But I more so, oh yeah, my bad. I couldn't really say it and who he would lose it someday to, only because I haven't been totally caught up on the product. More so Mania just happened, so I kind of got caught up with everything. I think the only thing I've been really following is the whole like Bloodline Cody thing. Like, how could you not see that? You can't miss it. But I don't know. Like, I've seen, LA Knight, he's making a lot of noise right now. I thought Kevin Owens was gonna get it, because I thought that would have been cool to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn kind of have their titles together. That's not a tag team title. Like, just have them have their own titles. That would be cool. But I don't know. Maybe somebody younger. Maybe I think it would be somebody who needs it. But I guess only time will tell. And I guess just stay tuned in, and you'll see.
Exactly. You never know what will happen indeed. Now, obviously, Joe, once a fan is always a fan, but you would take that one step further and get into the squared circle itself. I would love to know your journey of, deciding to pursue that passion and actually step foot into the square circle.
Well, so when I first broke into the business, I'd say I don't even really want to count my first couple of years. Like, I have to, because it's a part of the story. It's a part of my journey. So, like, I can't just dismiss it. But, man, so I want to say I was like 15. I was about to be 16 years old. I was like 2 months shy of 16. But I had a family friend of mine who was real close with our family. His name was Joey Kovar, and he was on the show Celebrity Rehab, and he was on The Real World. The Real World, I think, like season 20 or season 10, or who knows. But he was on there. He's in a couple other reality shows. I can't remember them all. But he wanted to break away from like the reality show world and get into professional wrestling. And he broke in with this company called Pro Wrestling Blitz out of Joliet, Illinois. And I kind of just kept annoying him and begging him, like, hey, can I come with you? I want to, meet some people. Like, I want to do this. The earlier I start, the better. And I was a huge CM Punk fan at the time. And I knew he was a backyard wrestler, and he started out on the indies pretty young. So I was like, I got to start now. Like, forget my friends. I don't need friends. Who cares about high school? Like, I just need to wrestle. I need to do this. So, like, in the time of bothering Joey to try to go over at the company he was working for, I begged my dad, and God bless him, I begged him, instead of a car, that I wanted a professional wrestling ring. And he kind of kept trying to talk me out of it. He was even trying to be like, well, maybe we can make one, or, the Hardy Boys made a trampoline one back in the day. And I'm like, no, I need the real thing. And he's like, if you could find a reasonable priced one, then we can do it. So I went on, I think eBay or something, Craigslist, eBay, something. I just searched up wrestling ring and one popped up somewhere in Iowa, and it was like, I want to say like maybe like $1,500. Like, it was really, really cheap, but it was a really small one. It was, I think, maybe only like a 16-footer low boy ring. But so yeah, we went out, we bought that, and then I was just kind of just trying to learn and teach myself stuff with my cousins in the backyard, which is really stupid because you learn how you learn quick how dangerous it is. And I remember like my one cousin broke his arm, and he was probably like 8 years old too. And so I felt pretty bad about that. He like broke his arm from like literally like above the elbow. So that was a terrible break. But so like we had backyard stuff, and shout out to my dad because he still got me a car. Like, you should go to that. But so yeah, like I think I recorded like a little quick video, and oh wait, I'm totally missing a part. So we have the ring, and by the time we have the ring, we kept inviting our buddy Joey out, like, hey, show me what you're learning, whatever. Joey unfortunately passed away, and when Joey passed away at his funeral, the guy who was there was Tony Scarpone, and who was the owner of Pro Wrestling Blitz. And my dad got his phone number and was like, hey, my son wants to train. And so yeah, like my shout out to my dad. He helped me out a lot in the beginning to give me that connect with Scarpone. And we put together like this super like cringy little like maybe 2-minute match, and we sent it to Scarpone, and he was like, oh well, maybe with the right training your son has a little bit of potential, so maybe like he has to train. And we were opening up a school, so I went to go train with Scarpone at 16 for a little bit. But I can't even really credit him for the training, only because like there was never really a school. Like, there was 1,000,001 times that they were supposed to open up a legitimate school, but it never really happened. So my training actually was just showing up to shows like hours beforehand, setting up the ring at like 11 in the morning, 10 in the morning, and then just training all day until it was time. Sorry, I'm parking in the spot. Until it was time for the show. But then it started getting to the point to where we would set up the ring like 2 or 3 days in advance, and then we started training from then until it was like showtime. So we were literally getting like 4 practices a month, if that. But then I kind of knew it was time to get away from that, and then I went to train with Mustafa Ali out of Chicago. He had his school. And then I got sick, my appendix burst, so I withdrew from his school. But we kept in contact. I only trained with him for like a month and a half, maybe. And then I went back with Scarpone. And then from Scarpone, I met Robert Ego Anthony, who I credit for all my training for the most part. Ego kind of took me under his wing. And Ego was like, you have a lot of potential, but like you can't be here. Like, staying here, you're going to go nowhere. So you have to branch out. So then he hooked it up with Tyson Kidd, who Tyson Kidd hooked us up with Ricky Marvin out of Mexico City. And I don't know if are you familiar with Ricky Marvin?
Slightly.
So Ricky Marvin's like a legend in Mexico and Japan. He, if you look up, there's a really killer match he had with Kenta. It's like literally 2 or 3 minutes long, but they absolutely just kill each other the entire match. And it's just right off the bat, like the match starts off with a dive, like immediately, and they just kill each other. But so we went to go train with Ricky, me and my friend Vinny Scarpone, who was like my right-hand man. It was literally us two together who were kind of just going after this. We had a big group of guys of us, but it mainly came down to me and Vinny. And then we went to Mexico together for 2 months to go train. And then the goal was to try to get invited to go to Japan. It was like, all right, I'm going to go there, prove to Ricky that I would be a perfect young boy, and I'll go to Japan and make my career in Japan. But unfortunately, it never happened. But then I wanted to go. I went back and I was like, I'm going to prove to him again. Like, I'm going to prove that I can go to Japan. So I went back for another 3 months by myself, and I lived in Mexico City alone at 19 years old. Or I was 20 now. Now at this point, I was 20. 20 years old to live in Mexico by myself. And yeah, I trained with Ricky, and then still no Japan. And then when I came back, I kind of just branched out and just started getting on all the indies I could. I started working for IWA Mid-South. I was getting on a lot of random shows. Like I started work. Where did else I start working at? It was mainly like in the Midwest, the Chicago area. Like I do shows in Green Bay, shows in Indiana, shows in Minnesota, and then I would luck out. Like I remember landing my first ever flight ever paid for was in Denver, for this company called it was a lucha company. You know what? It doesn't even matter. They burned me the last time they brought me in, so screw them. But they don't need any credit. They're cool people, but like they got a little weird at the end. But like I was getting in Denver, and then I started doing. I was like, man, I need to do something to look different. Like I got to stand out. And I remember I was with DJZ and or what's his name in WWE? Oh my God, Joaquin Wilde, right?
Oh, okay.
So Joaquin Wilde was telling me, he's like, dude, you look just like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like you gotta dye your hair rainbow, and you just gotta try it. And I'm like, nah, man, like I don't want to do that. Like nah. So then everyone kind of like talked me into it. I was like, I'll do it. Like I'll do it, because like anywhere I went, people would be like, you kind of look like that 6ix9ine guy. So I was like, screw it, I'll do it. So then I did that, and that kind of like really got me to like take off as far as getting remembered. Like everywhere I went, you had like no choice but to remember me. And yeah, and then I remember that, I think around the time, that's when I met like Trey Miguel and the Rascals for the first time. They like remembered me right away, because I was working at Rockstar Pro in Ohio, and that's where like they kind of come from. But then around that time when I was doing the 6ix9ine gimmick is then when that's when I ran into and I met Sammy Guevara for the first time. And I was literally just sitting at a table minding my own business, and then a camera just gets put right in my face and just goes, "It's fucking Treyway, 6ix9ine, we got 6ix9ine in the building, blah blah blah." And then I was like, who the fuck is this kid? But I just started like going with them on it and just like being goofy, and then we became really good friends. And he kind of always just looked out for me, and then that's kind of when the opportunities for AEW kind of happened after that.
Yo, my friend, I feel like I'm at a bar at 2 a.m. and someone's just told me this crazy story. I'm like, am I too pissed or something? What the fuck? Jesus. I mean, hey, when your autobiography comes out, that's going to be a hell of a chapter, and I'm sure a lot of people will love to read that part. But one part...
We only got so much time, bro. One day, whenever there's like a documentary or a mini series or something like that, we could break down like everything that actually happened during these times. Man, holy fuck, would it be like? It'd be a hit.
Hey, mate, that would be right beyond, ABC and all that. #1 viewer in the Nielsen ratings, demolishing all the competitions. But you did mention, was it Mexico City, living on your own at 20? I mean,
the first time I went down there, it was just me and my buddy Vinny, and I was 19 at that time. And man, like I remember before I went, like my mom was crying, like begging me not to go. She's like, please don't go. Like, and I remember like the earthquakes, the second, okay, no. The first time she wasn't really worried because I was with Vinny and she's like, you guys will have each other. But the second time I went was alone. I was alone. And I remember the earthquakes like just happened. And I remember like 500 people died from the earthquakes. So she was like spooked about me doing that. And she's like, please don't go. Please don't go. I'm like, dude, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Like, I'll be fine. And yeah, like honestly, like looking back at all that, like there is no way in hell I would ever let my child go to Mexico by themselves, especially for 3 months at one, like 2 months and then 3 months. Like you're out of your mind. My kid's not going to Mexico.
Well, I mean, hey, you did it. You came back, survived the earthquake. So all things are good on that end. So we're all good. But obviously, as well, you did mention, you had a wee 1 month spell with Mustafa Ali, learning under him as well. I do want to get your thoughts on, Mustafa. I remember people were raving about him when he debuted on the second episode of 205 Live. Everybody was so hyped and raving to see him. Did some stuff in the WWE, but when he got released, he's had this amazing world tour. He's went to the UK to do stuff in Progress, TNA. Man's just been killing it everywhere. to see Mustafa Ali, somebody who I feel like a lot of wrestling fans felt was underrated and not given the time that he really truly deserved, now just killing it now. To see that, it must be a hell of an achievement just to see somebody that, you learned a wee bit under to now go with their full potential.
No, yeah, no, 100%. I texted him the other day. I said we got to make it happen. But I said I think it's kind of cool that he is right now is he the TNA X Division champion?
He is indeed, yes.
So I was like, you're X Division champ, NWA Junior Heavyweight champ. Like we got to get that picture. You know what I mean? Like what a cool moment to kind of have that picture together. Who would have thought? So, but no, it's cool to see him, and I think he still has a future. I don't think he's signed. I'm pretty sure he's independent, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see him back on, a major network within the next couple, maybe year or so. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pop up again.
Well, I mean, hey, Billy Corgan, I'm from sports, title versus title, X Division, Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Right? That'd be cool.
That's money, man. That is money, and I love to see an absolute banger of a match come out with that as well. But obviously, Joe, you did touch upon, the Spanish God himself, Sammy Guevara, and that led to opportunities with AEW. But, when I first saw Sammy during, the pandemic shutdown eras of AEW, I was impressed, loved his style and everything, and then getting to see him wrestle live in person. He's very much like a cannon, right? He just likes to just go, no holding back, and just letting it all out. To be, friends with Sammy and see what he's done and all that, his wrestling style, it's quite insane, right? It must be a spectacle for yourself to see, right?
No, like I'd say he's always been, like when I met him, he was really killing it on the indies. And he got signed to AEW within, I want to say like maybe 4 months into meeting him. And then he got picked up. But yeah, I remember like looking up his stuff like right after I met him, and everything he kind of did was like wild, but it's like, I wouldn't say it shocks me because like, there's a lot of people that like to wrestle that style and like to do that kind of wrestling. That's not my cup of tea. Like, hey man, do you like? I'm not gonna say like I can do the type of flips he can do, but like it's not that scary once you got that adrenaline running, man. Like adrenaline is like probably the like craziest drug in the world. Like there's no drug that can give you like when you have an arena full of people going wild and you have an opportunity to kind of like get a reaction out of them. You'll do almost whatever it takes, and nothing's gonna hold you back. It's kind of just like you gotta send it, bro. You gotta full send it, just fuck it, just go, So, but yeah, no, Sammy, Sammy, he's wild. He's wild. He, what was the one thing I feel like he did something. I was like, holy fuck, dude, you're nuts. I want to say it might have been one of those like stadium stampede things, but he's done a couple of things that he's probably, I'm sure he's gonna slow it down now that he has like a child. So hopefully he's a little smarter with his decision making.
Yeah, hopefully he's not getting chased by golf carts anymore and getting knocked over with them.
Oh, so Matt did hit him pretty nasty with the golf cart. Yeah, that was wild. I remember that.
Golf carts, bastards. Can he stand them? But obviously, Joe, yourself, you got opportunities with AEW on Dark. I know your first match with AEW on Dark was against Jake Hager. That whole experience and getting that opportunity, I've had many US wrestlers who have had the opportunity with AEW Dark, and they talk about how much they appreciate it, and it was such a great experience. For your experience, Joe, obviously it was a different, time. It was 2020 when the whole world was shut in and everything. But so I want to know about that whole experience and, the learning opportunities you gained from wrestling during that time period.
So fun fact, the match with me and Jake Hager was the first ever, and I really wish we can like kind of put this out there to like actually go in the history books, because this is like, it's a fact at this point. It's not even like, oh, well, maybe, like, no, this 100% is. Me and Jake Hager we were the first match ever to happen during the pandemic era. Like I think it debuted, I want to say like 2 weeks later, but we were the first match ever filmed. It was before WWE even did it, because I think WWE took like I want to say, don't quote me, but I think WWE did like just like a bunch of segments, and like they released like old stuff. I want to say they did like just a recap episode on everything for their first episode, but I know AEW is like, no, we're gonna just film without an audience, which they did. You know, they did really well on, because I know they were bouncing ideas back and forth off each other for how they were gonna like shoot their shots with stuff, but yeah, we were the first match ever, and that was the most awkward thing I've ever done in my entire life, because it's silent the entire time. So it's just like, oh, this is weird. But I don't know. I think like that was more nerve-wracking than like an arena full of people. Like literally. Like I'd rather have 10 to 20,000 screaming strangers rather than awkward silence and nobody to play off of. But the time there was cool. The Hager match was cool. That was like a bit of motivation. It's like, okay, hey, like, this is actually possible. Or actually, no, I take that back. I lie. I think when that happened, I was like, okay, this is cool that this happened. I'm happy to finally say like I wrestled for a major company like AEW, but also too, like I do forget, I did a couple of AAA house shows when I was in Mexico. That wasn't like, those were whatever. It wasn't anything like too cool. Like I was kind of just putting bullshit matches. But AEW though, like that was cool. That happened, and then they were pretty impressed with the first time I was there. But I was just told like, don't get used to this. You don't want to be known as the extra guy, and like you don't want that label on you. And then literally the following week, they're like, hey, can you get back to Jacksonville tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. And I remember just like paying for the flight, which was literally $40 because of the pandemic. Like hopped on a flight literally the following day, bought a flight for $40. Like it was nuts. And the second time, that's when I worked Cody. I got to work with Cody, and that time, because I was never really like vocal about it, but like I followed Cody's whole career since, man, I had to have been like third grade maybe. Like I remember it was even, he was like a losing streak when he first made his debut, and I remember there was like a segment to where there was like, hey, if you lose another match, I think you're fired from Raw or something like that. And then he got his first win. Like I remember watching it at my buddy Ryan's house as a kid. But yeah, so like once I got to get in the ring with Cody, I just remember the whole night just shitting bricks. Like, holy fuck, like I'm wrestling Cody Rhodes. Like this is wild. And then we were the last match of the night. And also too, it was on my 23rd birthday. Like, I'm wrestling Cody Rhodes on my 23rd birthday, like nuts, wild. Like my phone's going off all day from like birthday things, and just ignoring all that because I just trying to make sure I don't shit myself. And yeah, the Cody thing, I think that was the one to where it was like, they always say, be in the moment, enjoy your moment while you have it, because you never know if this is ever going to happen again. So I remember like when I got to wrestle Cody during his entrance, kind of just like looking around, looking at the lights, looking at the stage setting, the turnbuckle pads, everything, and kind of just like, really soaking all that in before everything went down. Because if in that moment, at the time, if in that moment that it were to end right there, and that's like all that there was for Joe Alonzo's career, it's like, okay, like I can forever live and say, I wrestled Cody Rhodes at AEW, and I'd be happy with it. But then that happened, of course, and then I'm like, you know what? No, now I want more. Now I want more. That's just kind of like how it happens, like you always want more. But I think after it was the Cody match, when I was like, yo, this is actually possible. Like this is no longer a fantasy or a dream anymore. Like I'm really fucking doing this. And then that was like, I'm doing segments with guys like Chris Jericho, doing a pull apart with Jericho and Mike Tyson, getting to wrestle with the Lucha Bros. What I did some other stuff. Oh, but like, so it was lesson, if anything, like you can look it up. We don't need to get all into it, but I had like a weird little thing. I had some pretty, not even little, it was major thing. I had some major heat with AEW at the time, and I was told I wasn't welcome back, and that kind of like ended a lot of relationships, because that's a little personal, but like it just got really weird, and I went into like a bad place only because there was no wrestling. So like my time in AEW and then leaving AEW to literally nothing. And it's like, there's no wrestling. The world isn't open yet. All I can really do is work out. And at the time I was like a lot chubbier. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to grind it out in the gym, and I'm going to do a whole body transformation, and I'm going to make them regret getting rid of me and blah, blah, blah. But I think during that time, I kind of just, what I learned from that experience was, treat this like it's a job, even though I still have to remind myself about that every other day. Treat this as a job. Be careful who you call your friends, because there are I don't know, in my opinion, people will tell me I'm wrong, but hey, everyone has, their own point of view in this industry. But I don't think there's any like real friends. Like, you can never fully trust anyone in wrestling, especially because we all want to be the best. Maybe like later down the line when we're older, but as of right now, like, there are no real friends. So that kind of just put that into my mind, and it was kind of just like, hey, like, okay, like, you're gonna get everything you've lost and more, but when you do it, don't fuck up. And then like, I remember, man, that was like such a blur during that time. I just started getting on the indies. I was getting booked in Texas a lot. In Texas, a little bit through the Chicago area, landed a couple of things in Florida. And then, do you have anything else? I don't want to just keep talking. Me.
No, my friend. Please, I don't want to interrupt. I'm intrigued. I'm loving to learn.
Okay. But if at any point you want to stop me, by all means, go ahead.
No.
But so during this time, me and my trainer, Robert Anthony, we kind of fell off during this time, and we kind of stopped talking because he's like, dude, you got a lot of growing up to do, yada, yada, yada. But then me and him kind of reconnected. He saw that I got in like a lot better shape. I was staying out of trouble. And then I like asked him, I was like, hey man, like I've never really got to do any like WWE extra work, you know. What do you think about that? Like, could you possibly hook me up with that? And he did, and literally I had blood work, all that stuff done within a week, and I got to do WWE extra work. And he was telling me, it's so funny, like this would this always pisses him off. He told me that it took him, I want to say, like 15 years of doing WWE extra work to finally get a match at NXT when they came to shoot. They did like an NXT takeover or something like that. I don't know if it was takeover or what it was, but I remember it was like Velveteen Dream's debut match for NXT, but it was in Chicago, and Rob Ego was his opponent. So he told me it took him that long, and that's after doing WWE developmental, like everything there is to do. So he told me, he goes, I can't wait for you to get like real extra work experience, because when you went to AEW, you knew everybody there. Everyone there was your friend. You're having a blast. You're like, I was filming videos with Brandy Rhodes and doing like little things like I shouldn't be doing. An extra should not be doing any of these things. But so he's like, I can't wait for you to get real extra experience. You're just going to sit there in catering and you're going to do nothing. I'm like, okay. He's like, don't, what did he say? He said something like, set yourself up for a negative so you're not let down. Like, tell yourself nothing is going to happen, because that way you can't be sad when it doesn't. And I told him, I'm like, dude, fuck you, bro. I'm going to wrestle this first time. And he's like, okay, like if you believe in that, then by all means go ahead, like tell yourself whatever you want. I'm like, okay. I get to my first ever extra work experience at WWE, and I get there and they're like, oh, you're going to be in a segment with Kevin Owens, and you're going to like throw beers to him, and then he's going to be dressed like Stone Cold, and then he might hit you with a stunner and all that. I was like, all right, yeah, cool. And then I was excited, just trying to be professional, and yes sir, no sir. And then I think John Laurinaitis saw me, and I had long hair, and he's just like, he looks too much like a wrestler. He can't do this spot. And I was like, damn. And I remember just like walking away and just being like, fuck, man, like I should have listened to Rob. You know, I should have told myself that I wasn't going to do anything, so I would have been let down. But then they tell me, they're like, you know what? You're just going to flip-flop with this guy. You're going to wrestle Veer Mahaan, and you're going to do the Kevin Owens segment. So I was like, wait, I'm fucking wrestling tonight? So I rest my first ever WWE experience. I wrestled Veer Mahaan. And then after that, it was what it was. No one really said anything. No one said like good job or whatever, because it was before Raw. This was like on Main Event, or I think it's whatever show they had on Hulu. So then I did that. Everything was cool. And then the following week, they like contact me like 2 or 3 days beforehand, and they're like, "Can you be in Milwaukee for SmackDown?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I get there, have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, and I get to the building, and there's no other extras. Like, I'm literally the only extra that there is. So they come to me and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be wrestling Gunther tonight for his debut match." Holy shit! Like, what the fuck is going on? And I remember I like texted my trainer Ego, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, like you told me to not expect to wrestle, and so far I'm fucking 2 for 2." So then I go and I wrestle Gunther, and then after the match, like Laurinaitis came up to me and shook my hand. TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd came up to me, told me I did a good job. And then at the very end of the night, like I'm just waiting in the hallway, and I wasn't gonna leave until the show was done, and like everyone was out of the area, just so like I don't know. I just kind of told myself like stay in the way, but out of the way at the same time, but just where people can see you, just in case like the right person, like you might bump into the right person. And literally, I'm in this little corner, kind of like staying out of the way because I see a security guard coming, and I'm like, oh, like this is Vince's security guard. Like I got to stay out of the way. So I back out of the way. I'm like, so Vince is probably coming through. So Vince starts walking through. Vince walks past me, stops, turns around, looks at me, walks up to me, and then shakes my hand and is like, "Good job tonight out there, kid. Like you did a good job. Thank you." And I was like, "Oh yes, sir."
Right.
Holy shit! Like, dude, I got the handshake from Vince, like fucking wild. So, like, then after that, I was like, "Fuck, man! Like, we're really doing shit." You know, like I'm starting to kind of figure out who I am a little bit. Like I proved myself that I can, you know, not only go to AEW, lose it all, go to the Indies where there was actually nothing, and then to work my ass off to get in the best shape of my life, and then to then go to WWE after. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like I told myself I was going to do this, and this fucking happened. Hell yeah. So then after that, they invited me to come back like 2 weeks later, and I get to I think I want to say it was Detroit. Or no. No, yeah, it was Detroit. So then it was a Raw in Detroit, and then they tell me, I think Hurricane Helms comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, we had you in this segment, but you're not going to be in it today because I guess like the internet kind of was saying things like that. They recognize who you are. You're getting a little too over, brother. Like, sorry, but you got to sit this one out." I'm like, "Oh no, it's cool. He's like, we'll still pay you and whatever." I'm like, "I'd hope so," but so then at that point, like I called my trainer. I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm not 3 for 3." You know, like they said I have to sit this one out because I got a little too over on the internet. And he's like, "Hi." He's like, "Now you'll know what it's fucking like to really like feel what extra work is like." So literally, like that was the most boring day ever. Like I couldn't help out, dude. Like I wish they would have been like, "Hey, can you be a runner or something to go like bring this over there?" Just shit like that. I wish I would have done that because sitting in fucking catering all day is miserable. But great food, by the way. If anyone could ever get that WWE catering experience, yo, Try to, that shit's fire. But so then I was talking to Rob, and I go, or he gives me the idea. He's like, he goes, you'll never get another extra match. Like, you'll never get a match like that again, unless you get a job. And I was like, why do you say that? He's like, because they already told you they can't do anything with you because you're on TV. Like, maybe you'll get a security guard spot or whatever in a couple of months, but you're not ever going to wrestle on TV again unless you get a job there. So he's like, I have a crazy idea, and I think you should do it. I'm like, all right. So he's like, when's the next time you're booked for WWE? I'm like, in Iowa in a couple of weeks. He's like, you should put together the perfect promo and remember it, have it memorized in your head. And when you get to WWE, he's like, I think you should walk into John Laurinaitis' office, and ask him to cut a promo. And I was like, fuck, dude, like that's some like risky ass shit. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, what do I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Is they tell me to get the fuck out, or I get kicked out, or whatever? It's like, at least, like, I shouldn't have even came this far, so fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna risk it all. So then I'm in Iowa, and I'm waiting. I see Laurinaitis keep walking by, and then I run into somebody who, this name I'm gonna keep out. Maybe one day I'll tell the story of who it was, but somebody who works for WWE today actually is childhood friends with a family member of mine, and we found that out because he saw I was wearing a Bears shirt, and the story kind of, like, we started talking, then we figured it out, like, wait, you're in this area? Oh, my cousin's there. And then he's like, wait, who's your cousin? And I say it, and he's like, no fucking shit. So this person, I told him, and I was like, hey, I got this crazy idea. Can you tell me what you think? And I was like, I told him what I want to do. I want to walk in Laurinaitis' office. And he's like, do you want me to just take you there? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, you'd make it fucking 10 times easier. And he's like, all right, cool. He's like, let me see if he's ready. He's like, can you do it right now? I'm like, yeah. So he goes in the room, and he asks him, and he's like, yeah, you're going to do it right now. So then I went into the room, cut the promo on Laurinaitis. And he had some questions. He's like, you're kind of short. And I was like, that's great. Like, I can grow sideways. It's all good. You know what I mean? Like, and also too, I'm so tired of the short fucking thing. There's the best wrestlers in the world are shorter than me. So fuck off. But so then, like, we start talking. I made him laugh with, like, I told a couple of jokes, and we were vibing. And then he sent me to go, like, to this pre-tape room to cut a promo. And he's like, you're gonna cut a completely different promo and keep it under a minute. I'm like, okay. So I did that. And then I talked to Laurinaitis again. He's like, all right, we'll get started on everything next week. And I have no idea what everything was. I didn't know what the fuck they were going to do, but everything seemed like to be going good. And then the obvious happened, that Laurinaitis is no longer there, and Vince stepped away from the company. All that stuff went down literally the following week. And I'm like, what? Fuck, bro. Like, talk about, like, terrible fucking timing. Like, that was the worst timing. Like, I should have cut the fucking promo. Like, I was gonna cut the promo after I wrestled Gunther. I was gonna, like, go get ready, put that promo in my head, but I wasn't prepared. So I'm like, I didn't want to shit the bed, but, like, I should have fucking just said fuck it, and then just went to go talk to Laurinaitis and cut that promo that night. Because the whole, like, who knows what could have happened if I would have done it, like, 3 or 4 weeks prior. But, I'm like, all right, it's not my time. And then that's when I got the call to see if I'd be interested in coming into the NWA and wrestling Scion, aka Robert Anthony, my trainer. And they gave us they gave me an opportunity to do it. And then me and Rob beat the shit out of each other for like 15-20 minutes, and then I got a terrible concussion in that match. And I'm like, dude, I have so much heat, like for getting hurt. This is my first time, and I had to go to the hospital and get like a was it MRI or CT, whatever. They had to, like, check on my skull, because the paramedic was like, oh, he might have a fractured skull, like he might have a crack in it, because, like, the way it feels kind of weird. So, but the paramedic was a fucking moron. He didn't know what he was talking about. So it was all for nothing. I just had a really bad concussion. But then they I was afraid, but like Billy himself was like, like, I'll pay for all this, of course. Like, don't even worry about it. You're good. And I thought I was gonna get like, he's not gonna ask me to come back, but then they had me come back, and then I remember, in the back, our head of talent relations, Pat Kenny, aka Simon Diamond, he works for us, and I just kept like fucking with them and pretending I didn't know like any history of wrestling, like the big gold WCW belt, and I was like, oh, that's the belt from Ready to Rumble, like, isn't that David Arquette's belt? Like, that's from that movie, and just like little things like that, and then it was popping him, and he's like, this fucking kid, He's like, are you being for real? Or are you fucking around? And I'm like, no, like, why would I joke? Like that seriously is the belt. And then they put me in a promo segment with Austin Idol, and Austin Idol said something about like, he's like, oh, you're a nobody. Like, you just got here. You're a nobody. No one knows who you are, blah, blah, blah. And I just go, sir, I had no idea who you were until I came here at the NWA. Do not talk to me about nothing. Like, I have no idea. They had to tell me in the back who you were. I am unaware of any of your history. I don't care who you've been in the ring with. Like, that was in 1970, whatever. Like, we are currently in 2022 or 23, whatever year it was. So don't talk to me about shit. I guess like I popped a lot of the boys that night when I said that. So like the following taping, they called me in the office and they offered me a contract, and they're like, do you want to work here at the NWA? And here's the deal, whatever. And yeah, I signed, and here we are today. I mean, it only took me 2 fucking years, NWA. But I am NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, which I should have fucking been the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion all long fucking time ago. But, shit happens, and I guess I'm just not... at the time, I wasn't the better wrestler than my opponents, but for some reason today I am. And here we are. I am the face of the Junior Heavyweight Division, and not only the face of the Junior Heavyweight Division, I'm the face of the NWA, which is why I am Mr. NWA Joe Alonzo, and I've been fucking killing it. And I think, like right now, I'd say I probably have the most confidence I've ever had in my entire career. I know that I have so much to offer this industry, this business, this sport. And yeah, man, like who knows where there is to go next? Who knows what I have left to do at the NWA? Like, I just want to keep doing the next thing that I haven't done yet. Like, that's just the goal, is I just want to keep doing things I've never done. I want to keep, like, proving. I think, like, my entire career, I was always just trying to prove people wrong. And I would always get like this thrill behind that. Like, oh yeah, this person said I'm not going to do this. Fuck you. Watch me do it now. But now it's just more so like, like what do I want to do? What makes me happy? Like, fuck proving people wrong. I've already proved everyone wrong. Like when I got signed, when I showed up at WWE, when I went back. Oh, I went back to AEW, by the way. I forgot that part. I did go back in 2022. This was right before I signed with NWA. I went back one more time. And I remember reaching out, and I was like, I just need to prove to myself that like this one thing that always kind of sits in the back of my head is like, I feel like such a failure from being like kind of blackballed from AEW. What can I come back? Because if I don't come back just one time, I'm always going to feel like a failure. Like, no matter what I do, I'll always feel like this is my fuck up that I need to make right. So they let me come back. And yeah, like I didn't want to get a job there. I don't want to work there. Like I'm going to keep it a buck. Like I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to just prove to myself that I'm not my mistakes. And I did. And I went back, and here we are fucking killing it. But
True, mate. Honestly, mate, I think the best way to describe it, you went through some hard times, and you got there in the end. The whole thing of what the NWA is just that historic legacy promotion giving to the current day stars. I mean, you've done it, mate. Honestly, you're holding a lineage of a title that goes back decades and decades with the Junior World Heavyweight Championship. I gotta know, mate, winning that historic title, though, a title that has history and is respected by legends of wrestling past, to now know is representing you. You are that champion now. To hold that belt for the NWA. Crowning moment of your career so far, would you say?
That's a good question. I don't know. No, I don't think it is. I think signing my first contract was, and the reason why I say signing the contract is it's like, listen, there are people who become champion who aren't even under contract, and I think like once I have a company and a company telling me, hey, we want you to lock down to work exclusively for our company and we don't want you to go anywhere else. Like, we only want you to work for us. That tells me that you know how valuable I am and you don't want to see me succeed anywhere else because you want to benefit off of what I can do. So that kind of just gave me that fulfillment to where, like, okay, like I don't know. I feel like every wrestler is seeking this validation. I'm a bit different, only because I don't give a fuck. Like that's not even like, this is not me putting on an act. Like, I genuinely don't give a shit about what like anyone thinks about me. Like, at the end of the day, like, I only care what I think about me. As long as I'm cool with looking at myself and be like, I'm happy with this. Like, I can give a fuck what anyone thinks. So like, once I got that contract, it's like, okay, like I told myself, like, yo, Joe, like you don't need to keep proving everyone wrong. Like, you're fucking worth it, dude. Like, you're under contract. You are signed to one of the most top prestigious companies of all time. And now, yeah, I am holding the title, but at the same time, like, it's just like, man, like, in my mind, for the title, like, I've been champion since fucking October of last year. This isn't just me. Like, I understand I won it a couple weeks ago, but like, in my mind, and plus two, shout out Danny Deals. If you look back at my match with Colby Carino, the one in October at Samhain in Cleveland, Ohio, in October, I had Colby pinned. So I was champion back then. And like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm a very impatient person, and I just turned 27 years old, and I look at there's people who are like 22, 23 who are doing more things than I'm doing. Oh, no, that's a lie. Like 25, like they're 24, 25. They're doing things that I've never even done. So in my mind, I think I'm behind a lot, and I'm just trying to play catch up. And everyone tries to tell me, like, dude, you're still young. Like, you have so much time and yada, yada, yada. It's like, no, dude, I'm not trying to wrestle my entire life. Like, I have so many other things I want to do after wrestling. So like, I'm very behind, and I have to hurry up and catch up with a lot of shit. But as far as prestigious, I want to say signing that contract meant more than winning the title. And I know a lot of people might say, like, I'm wrong for that, but that's just the way I look at it. Like, I don't care about winning all the titles, like, I just want to put out the shit I want to put out, and I want to be able to create. I want to be able to entertain. I just want to do that. Like, a title doesn't make me feel any type of validation or anything like that. Just being able to have the platform. And I think for so long, I was always trying to talk everyone into like, hey, like prove myself. Like, hey, I need to be working for your company because this is what I can do. This, and this. And like, I got a million no's, but I got one yes. And the one yes was NWA, and them, taking a chance on me. And now they're getting their end of the bargain and seeing how valuable I am. So it's just more so just as long as I have that platform to create and be able to get eyes to a larger audience, I'm happy. And that's all I wanted, was to just be able to create the best product I can create and get as many eyes on it as possible. And I just had such a battle getting to this point. So now that I have this, it's cool. And I think that's probably the most, like, that's the highest peak of my career is so far, is having that platform.
Hey, it's a hell of a platform to get for Mr. NWA himself, and we love to see that. But obviously, there's many great things happening within the NWA, but obviously there is the 10 pounds of gold itself, currently held by EC3. Now, I want to say a hypothetical here, Joe. Say you get this opportunity, you get a match against EC3 for the 10 pound of gold. But let's say Billy comes to you and says, Joe, I want you to pick the stipulation. Put the match into your favor, any stipulation you want, and it will be the main event of the next NWA show. What stipulation would you love to have for the 10 pound of gold match?
You got to take a drug test before we wrestle. That's the stipulation. That's the stipulation.
All right, fair it is. Fair it is. That'll be that.
Sounds like a good stipulation, huh?
You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll take it. That's pretty fucking good. You fucking got me there. Well done. New NWA 10 Battle Gold champ. We got it there, my friend.
You can. And by the way, I owe you some time, so we don't have to. I know it's like coming up to the hour. We got more time if you want to keep going.
Well, smash it. I would love to see. Well, it's one thing I would love to ask though. How was it taking a chop from Gunther? That thing must have fucking hurt, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I want to see if. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can see this in the mirror.
Is it still fucking imprinted?
I have. So I have a little bit of hair, like fuzz growing out of my chest. So you really can't see it, but I have like the tiniest little scar, and it's from his hand. Like I remember, like I gotta find the photo, but I remember like taking a pic right after I took the chop, and I remember like just it being like scabbed up. It would bleed from every now and then because like it became like a thick scab, and I want to say he chopped me probably like anywhere from like 8 to 12 times that night, and brother, that fucking sucked. Mainly because like I want to say like I kept trying to just keep my face up so everyone could like, it's like, hey dude, I'm getting my ass beat. Let me at least just try to find the camera as many times as I can. So it's like, at least people be like, yo, like that like, there's that kid, you know, I know that guy, he got his ass whooped by Gunther, whatever. As long as people know who I am, like, fuck it. And I remember like, I don't know why. What I want to say that. Yeah, it was right on my birthday. Dude, you know what's crazy? My birthday. There's something to it because the first time I wrestled Cody in AEW, I was my 23rd birthday. Then when I went to go, my first extra work for Raw was the week of my birthday, or it was my birthday. I'm sorry, it was Raw before my birthday. I wrestled Veer on main event. And then my birthday happens, and then right after my birthday, I wrestled Gunther. So, like, always around my birthday, there's that thing, and I just won the championship right from Colby right by my birthday, which is March 25th. So it's just something with March 25th is, like, the good luck season for me. I don't know what it is. But I remember it being, like, cold when I wrestled Gunther, and I remember, like, the arena, like, I felt – it was at the Milwaukee Bucks arena. So, like, I was trying to, like, breathe, take deep breaths, and I remember just like the cold air just hitting my lungs, and then every time Gunther chopped me, like it would just all the air just come out. So it was really hard to breathe. That was like the number one thing. But I want to say the worst thing that was worse than the chops that he gave me was the big boot he gave me. He gave me a big boot. Like he threw me in the ring and gave me a big boot, and like he knocked my lights out with that shit. And they still play that clip. This is the second Mania in a row that they played the video of me getting kicked in the face by Gunther. So like they always put it in his video packages. It's always me getting kicked in the face by Gunther.
Oh, jeez. Well, hey, you got your mania moment then because you're showcased on that.
I mean, we're gonna go higher than that. That ain't gonna be the only one.
Oh, hey! Look, you started the story with Cody. Maybe you can go and start it again and finish it next year's Mania.
So maybe not next year. There's a lot of stuff I still want to do at the NWA, but I will say though, at some point in my career, me and Cody need a crossroads. We need to cross paths at some point. Like I feel like the Joe Alonzo that wrestled Cody Rhodes was just some awkward kid who was just trying to figure it out. And like, it was like, I don't even know what I can compare it to as far as Cody's career. Like this was like way before Stardust, the Stardust days. But like the Cody that was trying to figure himself out, like I was at that point in my career. And now it's like Cody today, the Cody with the blonde hair, the American Nightmare, you know, flashy gear, the robe, the title, the like everything about Cody just looks so cool, well put together. He knows exactly who he is. But I feel like I'm there now, or at least I'm very close. Like I'm on my way. I'm definitely on my way. So being able to wrestle Cody at this version of Joe Alonzo at some point, I think that's money. Like it just needs to happen one way or another.
You know what? That would be absolute money indeed. And it'd be a crazy thing to see as well, not only the progression of Cody, but yourself as well, to look back from where you were then to where you were, in the future when you face him. That would be quite a thing to see as well. And also, you mentioned wanting to do more stuff within the NWA. What other goals have you got for the NWA, Joe?
So, one is I really want to defend the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion against Fuego del Sol at the NWA, so I can beat him and I can rub it in his face and I can have the last laugh of our entire beef. And I don't know, like I was always the underdog when with my beef with Fuego. It was always me as the underdog, and which is weird, right? Because Fuego is looked at as like the good guy. But this time, if him and I wrestle at the NWA and I have the NWA Junior Heavyweight title and he's trying to fight me for my title, he's now the underdog. But except this time, I'm going to be the one walking away with the last laugh. And I think we can finally put our beef in the past. Like, we've moved on and we've matured, we've grown up, but I still have a big ego at the end of the day. And I think getting that one more victory on Fuego for my title at my company is like the icing on the cake.
That would be something to see indeed as well. I mean, I'm really excited to see what comes out of the NWA. It's been something that's always been catching my eye of a promotion, and I think it is very underrated by especially the internet wrestling community, those fun bunch of people that they are. And I really would implore people to check out the NWA. But I want to know as well, Joe, obviously Billy Corgan's the guy who's running the ship there, and I want to know, what's it like working for Billy?
How is it like? Let me be careful with my words here. I think Billy is a hard person to figure out. Like, and I'm really good at figuring people out, like, fast. Like, if I meet someone within 5 minutes, I know exactly what this person's all about. Even if they're pretending to be somebody they're not. Like, I can see through everyone's bullshit. With Billy, he's so unpredictable with what he's thinking, what he's feeling. He's got a million other things on his mind, especially because he's like always on tour and he's always doing stuff with music at the same time. So the one thing I will say I love working with Billy is that he throws me ideas. Like, I don't want to say he tells me, hey, I want you to do this, 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 and this. It's more so like, hey, I think it'd be cool if you did this, 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 and this. And then if I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, I don't. But I more so have the freedom to almost do whatever I want. Like, there hasn't been anywhere else I've ever been, it's like, hey, Joe, we want you to do this, this, this. And with a bigger company like the NWA, you would think that they'd be like, hey, we need you to do this, this, and this. But it's more so like, hey, just go out there and talk about this. Okay, fine. I got it. Yeah, talk about that. All right, cool. There isn't like a real set direction. And I like that. I like having the freedom. I like being able to, like, okay, here's another thing is, like, Billy doesn't give a shit what I gotta be careful here. He doesn't care what the people who bitch on the internet, like, what they have to say. Like, if the majority of the group of people are bitching on the internet saying this needs to be this way, this needs to be this needs to be this, he tunes and he blocks all that out. He's kind of like, I don't give a fuck what they want. They're probably not even watching the product to begin with. We're going to do what we want to do. So let's say I have this crazy idea. Typically, I don't have to run it by Billy. If I have a promo that I want to put out, I'm just going to do it. And he kind of just backs me on it. And I think he likes me. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely does. If not, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. But yeah, so, like, I just think having that freedom to do what I want and kind of just paint the image of Joe Alonzo that I see in my mind. I like that I'm able to do that. And I don't know if I'd be able to do that anywhere else. So, like, that's a huge bonus to be able to work for a company that lets you be you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a amazing beneficial thing that Billy Corgan allows a place for wrestlers to thrive on their own ideas and their own identities and be themselves. And, you know, those whole bitchy internet fans, the way they fucking are, because they were all bitching about the NWA, like Fabra Mitchell and some cocaine spot causing TV right deals and all that shit. And I was like, what the fuck are you lot on about? I mean,
yeah, and I'm like, from what I've heard, I don't even think that's true. I don't even think the network was even watching that pay-per-view. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, no, the internet fans, they think they know it all, and that's why you just gotta ignore them. They're like, the internet trolls are literally like that one kid in class who just wants a reaction and won't shut the fuck up. You just gotta ignore them because they're never gonna be happy. Like, look at like I'm obsessed with reading comments, but if you go and look at any Cody Rhodes promo right now or anything with Cody Rhodes, go read the comments.
yeah.
They're all talking about how boring Cody is, how much they can't stand Cody. They're calling Cody a crybaby. They're saying all this shit, but it's like, dude, you guys were all just fucking crying about how I almost did like the Rock impression. The Cody's got to finish his story. Like, literally, you guys are bitching about Cody's got to go to Mania and finish his fucking story. It should be him and Roman and not Rock and all this whole we want Cody fucking bullshit. But then now you got Cody and then now you're complaining. It's like, dude, you, no matter what you fucking do, these people are always gonna fucking bitch and complain and hate. Like, there was just, it's like a fucking miserable fucking girlfriend that you're just never gonna make happy. They're always just gonna fucking bitch. And that's what these wrestling fans are, just miserable fucking people who just want to fucking, like, their voices to be heard. It's like, just shut the fuck up and watch the product.
Absolutely, indeed. You know, they're very fickle, these internet fans, aren't they? They can't make their minds up two ways about what they like and what they don't like. But that's nonetheless, we'll let them cry in their mother's basement while they're chugging some Mountain Dew and Dorito crumbs in their chest. So away to the side we go there. But you know what, Joe? We'll truly end it this time because honestly, I feel like you've kicked off this season of the show well. You've set the high bar here for this whole season, and I'm grateful for that. So I want to end up with this. You know, we've seen wrestling companies contour with other places in the world. You know, AEW does All In Wembley. WWE have done all over the world. And I want to know if the NWA had an opportunity to go to Japan, somewhere that you would love to go, and you get to go and represent as the Junior World Heavyweight Champion. What would you love to do in Japan representing not only yourself, but the NWA?
In Japan, as like with wrestling or just in general?
Yeah, with wrestling.
Man, honestly, like, this is going to be controversial to say. So like, I'm just really stubborn. So when I want something, I want it when I want it.
Mm-hmm.
If you give it to me later, at that point, I don't want it anymore. So I'm not saying that I don't want to go to Japan, but I wanted to go to Japan in 2017, 2018. 2024, I don't really care to go to Japan because I think at the time I was trying to be like, you know, I looked up to guys like Eddie Guerrero, guys like Rey Mysterio, guys like CM Punk, Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, like all these guys who were just trying to have these killer matches, balls to the wall, go all out. And that's not exactly who Joe Alonzo is. Like, I can do all those things, but I like the American style of wrestling. I like the entertainment part of it. I like, you know, I like The Miz. I think The Miz is one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I love Eddie Guerrero, but before, like, Eddie Guerrero, like, I've watched every match there possibly is to watch of Eddie's, but if you watch Eddie from his WWF, WWE run, and then all the stuff before that, he was a really good wrestler. He was an amazing wrestler, but he wasn't entertaining. Like, I wasn't entertained. It's like, oh yeah, this guy can fucking go. But he didn't want to keep my eyes glued. But then when he came to WWF and he was doing the shit with China, when he came and he was doing the stuff with Chavo, when he came and he was doing like the Latino heats, like all that stuff that was entertaining, and he was still able to do the matches that he was doing when he was in Japan, when he was in Mexico, when he was killing it, ECW matches, all that. But so I don't know. It's like if I go to Japan, like they're probably not gonna like me. You know, they're not gonna like the way I wrestle. But if I were to go to Japan, I would love to wrestle Ricky Marvin in Japan. I think just like that. I don't know what the market on that would be. I don't know if that would draw money. I don't know. Like I truly don't. But just for selfish reasons, I think that's like a full circle moment. Like, hey, dude, like I begged and tried to prove to you that I was ready to go to Japan in 2017, 2018. Okay, no, I didn't go. You didn't think I was ready. I kind of got fucked around with, and I never went. But now I'm the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, and if we were to go to Japan and, hey, who do you want to wrestle? I want to wrestle Ricky Marvin. Like, I think that full circle moment for me and the story, I could tell these people exactly why I want to wrestle Ricky Marvin on screen, and maybe it would be worth money. Honestly, no, fuck that. Anything Joe Alonzo does is money, and I can make it money. So, yeah, I think that'd be cool. But other than that, I mean, I'd like to see some old friends. Like I have some friends in Japan, so that'd be cool. Like if there was some way to work with them. Actually, no, I don't think I can. They're signing New Japan, so I don't think that would even be possible. But yeah, like just probably Ricky Marvin. But I want to go. I would like to go check out some other stuff. Like I'd like to go check out like I would love to wrestle in Europe. I think like doing like a European tour would be so fucking cool. I that would be awesome. There was talks of I know we did. I wasn't on it, which I should have been. Billy Corgan, pay attention. I should have been on that Australian tour. I really would have loved to go to Australia. I think that would have been cool. But if NWA does decide to go to like England or like Italy would be fucking dope. Like Italy or Scotland or just something France, anything like that. That'd be so cool. I would love to be a part of that. And more so just because like for obvious reasons, I would love to check out that scene as far as like, I guess vacation. Like I would just love to see different parts of the world. But outside of that, I would love to see what kind of other wrestling there is out there, because there's so much wrestling out there. Like I'm sure, like I was looking at some of the people that you interviewed, and I didn't know any of these people. And that's on the other side of the world. So I think it'd be cool to clash styles with people I've never heard of and just see what these people are about and kind of like figure this out. Maybe I can take something away from that, or maybe I can even give something to it. So I think kind of just working with foreigners would be really cool.
Joe, mate, our shores are open. Not the English though. Fuck the English. We hate the English. Come to Scotland. Scotland's the best. We've got the Highlands and proper drink and stuff. That's the best part of our country. Well, Joe Alonzo, the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, my friend, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the Soul Session Season 4 premiere. Now, folks, I know in this modern day, we're all a bit lazy and we can't bother with all our links and stuff. So I'm going to put Joe's Instagram link in the description of this video. Click it, follow his journey as the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. And I will also include a link to the NWA's Instagram page as well to follow and watch the show, watch NWA Power, and see your champion shine. And when he has that 10 pounds of gold across his waist, that's when you know you're watching a real, true champion, fellas.
Stipulation, though, that drug test stipulation.
It'll be a first, and I'm sure Cornette and Meltzer will throw a big fit about it, but it'll be a spectacle to hit. Well, viewers, thank you for tuning in for the Season 4 premiere. More to come here on the Soul Sessions.